when I say it's retarded, I'm saying like, who the fuck cares? If you want to dress like a female and you identify as a female and you look male or whatever the fucking case may be, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Can you make my burger right? if I'm going to jail, are you gonna am I gonna get a fair chance if you're my attorney, or you just automatically not send them? If you're the judge, who fucking cares? Are you qualified for whatever it is that you're doing? Cool.
So I think in most contexts, like, you're right. Like, at the end of the day, like, who really gives a shit? But I think, like, for something like prisons or like domestic shelters, when you do have like these problems where people identify as the other gender and then they go into like a
better scare prison. Tactics. Don't do nothing stupid. Like, bruh. Hey, look. No, damn. When I say it like that, it's more like, okay, I'm black, so
like what? But like women who like get arrested for pot should like have to deal with like somebody coming in and raping them.
That's fucking retarded. Bro, I don't know.
I want to know the rate of people that's actually happening to. I mean, there's a simple solution for this. Simple solution. Very, very simple. Put them in their own cell block.
But you can't do that, though.
Why? You can't put a bunch of trans men and trans women in their own cell blocks?
Because they would consider that it's just like some might be faking it, like just because there's people who take advantage of the system. There always will be, as long as that system is in place.
Who cares if they're faking it at that point? The rest of them are fucking trans
they're
too.
Raping people.
Yeah, that's
what are you talking about? Are you not listening to what I'm saying?
They're gonna be.
I am understanding.
Put them their own fucking cell block.
They would consider that discrimination, and that would be protected under what they had under the civil rights that they had. They would be protected. So make them sign a
paper. Like, okay.
Why would that be considered discrimination?
Are you sure?
But you wouldn't be able to do that.
So putting trans men with trans men is discrimination.
That's like if they separated race in prison.
They do.
They have black and white prisons?
No. They don't have the whole prison.
They discriminate once inside.
Yeah, but that's not like the state isn't doing that.
I get what
that's
you're saying.
the difference. The state isn't saying, "Hey, let's have your own room." The black people were like, "Oh, we don't fuck white people, so we're gonna keep them away from us." Like that's
okay. So I'm afraid. I'm a trans woman, and so I'm afraid to be with this group. Well, since you do have a penis, we can't put you with people that have vaginas, so you got to go in your own spot then, which is fucking different. I mean, that's a very simple fucking solution.
I understand what you're saying, but what I am saying is the thing
I think
that was just
found
removed,
a way to do it.
The thing that was just removed would say that you can't do that.
Where does it say that? Because when I read the bill, I didn't see a part of that.
I'm not talking about the bill. I'm talking about the protections that the bill removed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I never saw a part that included anything that would have made sense in that.
Well, what I saw that the bill affected, it was. I know the last three were prisons, domestic shelters, and homeless shelters.
What? They can't go?
Not that they can't go.
They have to identify as their birth certificate.
Yeah, as male or female.
Yeah. Oh, so that doesn't matter what's on the birth certificate, or do they have?
I would assume probably their birth certificate is what matters. Yeah,
which at a certain point that is protecting like the trans, so they don't get raped in a male prison. Like I feel like it is better if they do go to prison. I feel like that's a better option, but I don't know.
Yeah, but I'd like to see the rates of in which this is actually even happening in trans.
I mean, I don't think the rates matter
because I bet it's a pretty low rate. Okay. Not that it's not still bad,
but it's like it could happen.
But it's like okay, on one end,
I don't care.
You put somebody who's transgender.
Once, yeah.
On one end, though, you put somebody who's transgender that still has a penis, and you put them in with men, and then they get raped, and then or you could put them in the other spot with women, and maybe they do the raping.
So I'm laughing and fucking what Pedro's looking up.
So many trans people are raped in prison.
Three things to what? Three things to know.
Let's hit that Marshall Project, and then we gotta switch over to the Patreon. We're already at that hour.
But we gotta talk about that fucking Zelensky
About
interview,
2,000.
Oh, yes.
we gotta
Yes.
talk about that.
About what?
About
The Zelensky Trump.
about 2,000 transgender people are incarcerated in federal prisons, according to the Bureau of Prisons. A tiny fraction of the federal prison population, but they are disproportionately targeted for abuse and assault.
That is so small that they could have their own fucking prison. 2,000 people? Is that just that prison, or is that like?
No, I mean I think that's probably overall, right?
It says
I didn't read the
2,000.
sentence in time.
It says 2,000 in federal prisons.
Right
though.
now.
Spread out, and how many federal prisons are there?
A lot.
I mean, probably enough where you could make one for trans individuals.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Damn.
I mean, like, then there is a thing with, like, family coming to visit them and shit like that, but it's also like, motherfucker, you are in prison.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I
I
don't
mean,
have too many rights.
Yeah. Like, you still deserve, like, humane rights for sure, but, like, you are also in prison.
Okay, but even look at this paragraph. Part of the problem, experts say, is that the law has no teeth. Its standards are advisory and broad, which is kind of like, that's like the whole nature of the trans movement. So, like, this is like where it almost affects them negatively. It's like, okay, if you don't have a fucking... if you don't have this, like, border, like, this is what we define as, then, like, you can't really be protected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In this
As
case,
I've said 50 times, too. I've said it so many times. I don't understand why we can't just hit a line and where it's such a bad... It's bad on either side. It's like whenever I say this, I'm a fucking mortar. Trans women are trans women. Women are women. Men are men. Trans men are trans men. Nope, don't say that, dude. It's a fucking terrible thing to say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. I'm fucking homophobic and transphobic now. I'm terrified of
Yeah,
it.
that's the
So what are you
problem.
supposed to say?
Exactly,
It's a
that's
circular
what I-
argument. It's
Yeah.
a circular. It's a never-ending
If
circular
we
argument.
could just hit those lines and we could just all be like, okay, this is what we're going to say for now. And for right now, this is what we're going to run with and see how it turns out. I would bet that in 5 to 10 years from now, pretty much everybody would be like, I think things kind of got worked out. Like, things are a lot better than they used to.
Well, yeah, and I think to be fair, this is a very like negative, like objective problem with what they're doing legally with all the trans and the drag stuff, which we'll talk about more in the Patreon, I guess. But
What's the difference? So is the drag just a fetish?
Nah, you don't have to be trans
No.
to do
no,
drag.
exactly.
You
But
just
like,
want it-
my
yeah.
point is like the fact that they're targeting all these things legally. It does seem to be targeting the LGBTQ
It is.
community.
Well,
like,
I would
at
say
face
that
value.
most
That's
of
the
those people
problematic part.
identify with the LGBT. If you do drag, because I've heard that there's straight men that do drag, which I think I actually believe that, but maybe it's true. I don't know. I've never met somebody that's straight and does drag. So I would say that they
We tried to get one.
definitely are
We tried to get a drag.
heavily associated with the LGBTQ community.
Yeah,
Too
exactly.
many letters, dude. I'd be fucking it up.
Exactly. Well, you can understand like from like an old school Republican position who's just like reading the paper with the scotch, like
Fuck is this?
Honestly, I know. I mean, it's just like the way the world's moving was being more open, and it
Yeah.
just got too much for like more than just like the older Republican demographic.